ever feel like you're just tossed around emotionally? Like 1 minute a compliment makes your day, the next some criticism just ruins it.
Oh, absolutely. We've all
Yeah,
been there. It's like an emotional roller coaster sometimes.
exactly. Well, today we're digging into some really ancient Buddhist wisdom that, believe it or not, has a super relevant take on how to stay steady through all that.
Yeah, we're looking at a specific story about a monk, Lakunṭakabhaddiya. It's this, well, fascinating little snapshot of monastic life, really.
And it leads to this really profound teaching from the Buddha.
It does. And what's great is we actually have, multiple accounts of this, ancient texts describing the event, the teaching that came from it.
So it's not just one perspective. We get a few angles on it.
Right. And our goal, our kind of mission for this deep dive, is to unpack how this monk, Lakunṭakabhaddiya, reacted when he was being, well, let's just say pestered,
Pestered is a good word for it.
and see what that teaches us about like emotional resilience, finding a practical way to stay more grounded day to day.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in the Jetavana Monastery, big deal place in Buddhist history.
Very important.
And there's this elder monk, Lakunṭakabhaddiya, but he's apparently the target of some maybe playful but definitely annoying stuff from the younger novices, the Samaras.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not some grand, epic struggle. It's about daily annoyances.
Yeah.
Makes it very relatable, I think.
Totally. What exactly were they doing?
Well, the texts say they'd actually like physically mess with him, tug his head, pull his ears, even his nose.
Wow. Towards an elder monk. That seems pretty out of line.
It does sound quite disruptive, yeah. And disrespectful, really.
And it wasn't just physical, right? They were asking him stuff too.
Yeah, these sort of needling questions, like, hey, short father. That's apparently what they called him. Aren't you tired of being a monk? Aren't you enjoying monastic life?
Ugh. Yeah, that's poking the bear, kind of. Not exactly respectful treatment for a senior.
Not at all. But here's the kicker, the really interesting part. His reaction.
Right. What did he do?
Nothing. Or, rather, the texts are clear. He didn't get angry. He didn't feel resentful towards them.
Seriously, despite all that, the pulling, the questions, nothing.
Nothing. No negative reaction. And that's really the core of the story, isn't it? That lack of reaction.
It really is. You'd expect something, a sharp word, a frown.
Right. But apparently not. And this remarkable calm didn't go unnoticed. Other monks saw it.
In the Dhamma assembly, that's like their discussion group.
Exactly. They started talking amongst themselves about it. Like, hey, look at Lakunṭakabhaddiya. These novices mess with him, pull his ears, whatever. And he just doesn't get mad.
So they were impressed, or at least intrigued.
Definitely struck by it. The texts even quote their observation, basically saying exactly that. Look, friends, when they bother him like this, he doesn't get angry or resentful.
And inevitably, the Buddha hears about this discussion.
Right. He comes along, asks what they're talking about. They explain the situation, Lakunṭakabhaddiya's surprising composure.
And this is where the Buddha connects it to a deeper teaching, right?
Yes, exactly. This is the pivot. He links Lakunṭakabhaddiya's state directly to being a kesava.
A kasava, what does that mean exactly?
It's someone who has basically eradicated the inner defilements. Things like greed, hatred, delusion, those deep-rooted negative reactions.
But someone who's reached a very high level of like inner purity or freedom.
Precisely. And the Buddha says about this state, monks, those whose defilements are destroyed, do not get angry or resentful. It's not that they can't, maybe, but they just don't.
Because the root cause is gone.
Exactly. And then he gives this image. They're like a solid rock, unmoving and unshaken.
Ah, the rock simile. I love that. It's so clear.
It really is. A solid, dense rock. The wind blows from the east, west, north, south. It doesn't matter. The rock doesn't move.
Just they're stable.
Totally stable. And building on that, the Buddha gives a specific verse, a kind of summary of the point.
Okay, what's the verse?
Just as a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise and blame.
Not moved by praise and blame. That hits home, doesn't it? We even have the Pali, right?
We do. It's Seloyata ekagano fatena na samarati, eva ninda paseso suna samijanti pachati.
Ninda pasasa, praise and blame. That image of not being swayed, na saminjanti, not moved.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
It is. But then the commentaries, the texts that sort of explain these verses later on, they actually broaden the meaning.
Oh, how so? It's not just praise and blame.
Right. They say that while the verse mentions ninda pasasa, it actually stands for all 8 worldly conditions. the adaralokathama.
The 8 worldly conditions. Okay, I think I know these, but let's list them out.
Sure, it's basically pairs of opposites that we all experience. So you've got gain and loss.
Right. Getting something, losing something, money, possessions, opportunities.
Exactly. Then there's fame
Fame
and
that.
disgrace. Or maybe think of it as status and lack of status, reputation.
Okay. Good reputation, bad reputation. Being liked, being disliked.
And the ones from the verse, praise and blame,
Mhm.
compliments and criticism.
Got it.
And finally, pleasure and pain. Physical sensations, emotional feelings, happiness and suffering, basically.
Gain, loss, fame, disgrace, praise, blame, pleasure, pain. Okay. Those pretty much cover, well, everything that happens to us externally, right?
Pretty much the whole range of human experience, yeah.
Yeah.
The constant ups and downs, the tides of life, you could say.
So, connecting back to the rock, the wise person isn't moved by any of these 8 things, not just praise and blame.
That's the expanded teaching, yes.
Yeah.
Just like the rock isn't moved by the wind, whichever way it blows, the wise of the Panat, they remain unmoved, nasamijanti, by all 8 of these conditions, positive or negative.
Okay, but what does unmoved really mean here? It doesn't mean they don't, feel pleasure or pain, right?
No, absolutely not. That's a key point the commentaries make. It's not about being numb or indifferent.
So what is it then?
It means they aren't emotionally knocked off balance by them. They don't react with aversion that's paivasena when the unpleasant stuff happens, like loss or blame or pain.
They don't push it away with anger or frustration.
Right. And, crucially, they also don't react with excessive attachment or favor and anayavasena when the pleasant stuff happens, like gain or fame or pleasure.
Ah, okay, so they don't desperately cling to the good stuff or get totally elated and carried away by it.
Exactly. They experience it, appreciate it perhaps,
Right.
but they don't get attached. They maintain this inner equilibrium. They see both the pleasant and unpleasant as just sort of conditions arising and passing away, like weather, as you said before.
It's not about controlling the weather. It's about not letting the rain ruin your whole week or the sunshine make you forget that clouds exist.
That's a great way to put it. It's about this deep, unshakable inner balance, not being constantly pulled this way and that by external events, not being a slave to the pleasant or the unpleasant.
Wow, okay, that's
Yeah.
a lot deeper than just ignoring criticism.
It really is. It's a fundamental shift in how one relates to the world.
And the texts mention this teaching had a real impact back then.
Yes. Apparently, at the end of this discourse by the Buddha, quite a few people listening attained different levels of spiritual insight, including Sotapadhi, stream entry.
Which is a big deal on the Buddhist path.
It's a very significant step, yeah.
Yeah.
So it clearly resonated.
So, bringing this back to us, to you listening, the core idea seems to be that developing this kind of balanced, unreactive stance towards life's ups and downs, that's a sign of wisdom, of inner strength.
It's presented as something achievable, something that marks real inner development.
And again, it's not about pretending you don't feel things. We all feel joy, sadness, irritation.
Of course, feelings arise. The point isn't suppression.
It's about not letting those feelings hijack your entire being.
Right.
Not letting them dictate your actions and steal that underlying sense of peace or stability.
Precisely. You can feel annoyed, but you don't have to act annoyed in a way that causes harm. You can feel happy, but you don't have to desperately cling to that feeling and fear its ending.
So the real aha moment, the takeaway, is that stability, like that rock, isn't about controlling the outside world, it's internal.
Yes. It comes from not being so easily swayed, not being constantly pushed and pulled by validation, criticism, gain, loss. All of it. The good stuff and the bad stuff.
And boy, does that feel relevant today. I mean, think about social media alone. Constant stream of potential praise and blame right there.
Oh, absolutely. Performance reviews, news cycles, relationship dynamics. Our modern lives are full of these wins, maybe even more so, or at least more visibly so.
Yeah, it's relentless sometimes.
So it's useful, maybe for you listening, just to reflect. How do you normally react when you get praised or criticized, when you succeed or face a setback? Where do you feel that wobble?
That inner shake.
Yeah. Do you get really high, really low? How long does it last?
Good questions. And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. What would it actually feel like to be just a little bit more like that rock? A little less shaken by the day-to-day stuff?
How might that change things? How you move through your day, how you interact with people, how you handle challenges?
And it's watch yourself. Observe your reactions over the next few days without judgment. See what you notice when those different winds blow.
Yeah, just observe. It could be quite interesting.